A pleasant good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to welcome you, unofficially, but welcome you to Peterson Yard. And the We from Upstreet Inc. presents a storytelling Sunday. This is a tale of 3 quarters, kings, queens, and crown princes. So, my name is Nadine Marchena Ken. I'm called upon today, and I'm honored to be called upon today to be your mistress of ceremonies. We are going to start with our chaplain, the We from Upstreet chaplain, Miss Lola Roberts.
All right, let us stand, please. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you this afternoon, we are very grateful that you have woken each and every one of us up here today and bring us so that we can hear stories, good stories, medium stories from everyone. Lord, please add your blessings to this function that we are about to do. This I ask in thy Son, Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
And now we're going to move right ahead and call to the front the We from Upstreet president, Miss Yvette M. Finch.
Oh, we could do better than that according to Myron. Come on, Myron. I want to say a pleasant good afternoon to each and everyone. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for supporting We from Upstreet and our storytelling initiatives for all these years that we've been doing this. I'm always in awe of all the stories told from our various communities. Upstreet, Dong Street, Savan, Langpart. 1, 2. Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you again for all who support us. I want to thank our media, Anantha, TV2, The Source, thank you so much. I want to thank our DJ, Shabundi, thank you so much. And all the members of We from Upstreet, please stand to be recognized for all your support on all our initiatives, whether it's a storytelling. And our purpose today is, once again, this is maybe the first time that we're going to officially document our history, our oral history. And what makes it very important for us is that it's coming from residents who have been in these communities for many, many decades. So I'm not going to stay here talking too long. I just want to say thank you. And Nadine, I'm going to give the mic back to you. Thank you all for coming again.
Thank you, Yvette. I'm going to announce, don't worry, we got it. We want to move it quickly forward, though. We're going to have some information coming up for you very soon, but I would like to please invite Mr. Myron D. Jackson, former Senate President and former President of We from Upstreet.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, Yvette. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Peterson Jackson family, we wanted to welcome you to Peterson Yard. It's been a long, long haul because Irma and Maria impacted the property severely, and through the efforts of historic preservation with a grant, we were able to restore the property, and we have decided that we'll dedicate it to the Peterson family and to our parents, Hugo Jackson and Bernice Peterson Jackson. So today is really an official day of having an activity since the damages from the Hurricane Irma and Maria, and we give the yard back to the community for community activities, as we've done with We from Upstreet with our carnival activities over the years. Some of you may have remembered that. And some of you may remember the activities that were held here, or businesses that were held here, gas station, service center, restaurant, a tenement yard, etc. So we return it to the community. So we're very happy to host We From Upstreet, Madam President, and members of We From Upstreet here today. It's a special occasion for us to open this yard to the community. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And on behalf of We From Upstreet, Myron, I want to thank you, Peterson, Jackson, and all the members of your extended family. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here today.
What a great venue this is. When we talk about a yard, and we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, this is certainly an Upstreet yard that welcomed everybody, yes? So, we have some rules of engagement that we need to cover. And so bear with me because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance and so forth. We ask that you please respect the moderator. Whew, yes. Panelist and the person sitting next to you by not speaking during the presentation. We ask that, I know you'll be excited to share, but hold that sharing until the time comes, right? We also ask that you allow the panelists to make their presentation without interruption. I know we have to agree with them and we go say, yes, sir, but that's about it, right? Applause maybe in between, but that's it. If you need if you have a question or comment, please hold that interactive session until the time comes. During the interactive session, please raise your hand and we will bring the mic to you so that everyone can hear your question or comment. It's really important that we share in an organized way. And during the game session, and we have a game because we have prizes, please do not yell out answers. We will acknowledge you to give your answers. And if you're correct, you will get a prize today. From the people, the We From Upstreet organization. Please note that there are cups for sale. The 30th anniversary mugs, beautiful. Mr. Wint is holding it over there. They are awesome. It reminds me of the old tin cup that we used to have. My grandmother had one. She gave it to me. But I also bought a cup, the anniversary cup from We From Upstreet. So we invite you to go ahead and purchase those cups. They're available, as well as there are membership applications for this organization. Earlier, I was at the co-worker strike and someone stopped me and said, you know, the We From Upstreet organization always has these great programs. And so if you want to become a member, if you want to know more, if you want to participate, if you have an idea, we invite you to become a member. It is really inexpensive to become a member. So please grab your application. We also have a bar right back here. Soft drinks are free. But if you want something alcoholic, please indulge. It's for a small price. And there's popcorn back there as well. So, we're all good? Okay, the bathrooms is over here, and so you can exit that way and walk carefully as you traverse to the bathroom. So don't wait till the last minute. Traverse this way, okay? All right, so we are about to begin. We'd like to introduce the panelists, and I have to put on my glasses. And we're going to start, and each panelist will have about 2 or 3 sentences that you can say introducing yourself. I just want to spend the time answering all the juicy questions and so forth. So we're going to start with Miss Mabel Maduro.
Mabel say more than 3 sentences.
Mabel Maduro from the Savannah. The mic is by Mr. Davis.
Good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to all. I am Mabel Maduro, an indigenous Virgin Islander, 4th generation Virgin Islander, and I was born on the island of St. Thomas. My parents?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Yeah. Yeah. I resided on Frenchman Hill, which is part of Savannah, by the way. Many people don't know that. So, and my parents are, because they're still with me, John L. Maduro and Claudia Hugh Maduro. John L. was a former senator, 22 years in the Virgin Islands legislature, and an active attorney at law here in St. Thomas. His demise was in 2009, and my mother, she passed in 2004. She was a registered nurse. She served in various capacities in that profession: administrative, public health nursing, and obstetrics. And finally, in her retirement, just before retirement, she served as the head school nurse at the Charlotte Amalie High School. I was amazed at the number of students that remembered her and said how sweet she was and easygoing. And I'm like, are you talking about my mother? Because she was really strict with us. But be that as it may, after retirement, she was actively engaged in the business that I had in Savon, Azalea's Boutique, named in honor of my grandmother. And my grandparents are Joseph L. Maduro and Azalea Saleh Maduro of General Garden number 5.
In the midst and the center of Savannah. Yes.
And they were the owners of Maduro Grocery Shop.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mabel. And I want you to pass the mic to Dr. Lucien Molinar, also from the Savannah.
Frenchman Hill.
Okay. You know, the other day I read, last night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I read it was called French Savannah at one moment.
Good to know. Good to
Okay.
know. Good afternoon to all. So good to see so many faces. I too am from Frenchman Hill, and I've been called many things in my life, but one of the worst things I was ever called is a Sino. Just as the Republicans have their rhinos, Republican in name only, I was called a Sino, Savanero in name only, because I was from Frenchman Hill. But actually, Frenchman Hill is perched in such a way that it could belong to either Savannah or Down Street, I have to say. In fact, we had connections with both neighborhoods. My parents, my father was a plumber. He did general plumbing. He worked hard, especially when the Water Island semi-building boom was beginning in the early 50s, and when Sugar Estate was going. He worked hard. My mother was an educator. She taught at the Dover School. She taught at the Janie Tuitt School and then became principal at Janie Tuitt. When she left the classroom, she moved into the administrative aspect of project introspection under Ms. Mavis Brady, where they prepared documents for classroom consumption in terms of what was happening in the Virgin Islands, history, culture, and to make sure it was preserved in the curriculum that was used for the children. Her mother's name is written there on this podium, Adina Richards. My grandmother, she lived around the coast, Adina Richards. Her husband, Robert Richards, was a Crucian. He came from St. Croix. On my father's side, his mother, Margaret Petty, was from Anguilla, from Sandy Ground. His father, his people came from, even though the name is Dutch, came from some part of Germany and settled here out at Neltiburg. My father's sister, Ola Muller, was an educator as well, and the school in Contant is named after Aunt Ola.
Okay.
I have 2 sisters, both of whom are alive and well.
Yeah.
I look forward to participating in this and sharing some of my experiences with you.
Awesome. You know, one of the questions I had was your genealogy, so you don't have to go all into it, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Next, we're going to introduce Miss Lily Garfield. And earlier, Myron spoke about a major influencer, the father of Pan-Africanism, and that would be, the descendant is Miss Lillian Garfield from the Langpart area. She's a Langpartian or something like that. Langpartian. Please, go right ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for having us here to present some stories to tell you all about. Okay, the Long Pot Garden Street area. I live in the Long Pot area, which is a very nice area. It's unique. I will have to call myself twofold. My mother was Casilda Monsanto Garfield. So she's from this side of the coin here, if you want to call it the Bay side. So you see, interrupted me, you know. So I'm also an upstreet person, if you want to call it that way. My grandmother is Cristalia Christian from Bayside. If you know Mr. Texas Christian, the Freco man, that would be my great uncle on this side. So now let me go talk about Long Pot Garden Street. That's my father's side. And Garfield is a funny name. Ask Nadine, it's a funny name because his mother name is Lillian Sasso. And his aunt was Viola Rosenberg. Don't ask me the millie behind all of that. But I'm just saying, I'm a family of 10 of us, 5 boys, 5 girls. It is a lovely area to live and raise. I can't talk much about it. It's so nice. But again, my father worked Caribbean and Eastern, and he was a laborer, 3-4 jobs. My mom was a housewife. I think she fed everybody in the neighborhood. She loved to cook. So I don't know what, I'm not that kind of cuisine person. I will be anything else but that, but I am just saying I'm glad to be here among all everybody here in this panel, and we will give you a good time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now we move to Dong Street and Mr. Edwin Davis.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm extremely happy to be here in such a distinguished audience. And I want to talk a little bit about Dong Street, but I'll get into the part of Dong Street that I grew up in a later time. That's Bockhole. And I have a long story about that. But let me say that my grandfather was born in the British Virgin Islands, and he went to Santo Domingo seeking work at that time. And he got married there, and that's where my mother was born, in Santo Domingo. Of course, she moved back here at her early age and attended school. And my father now, he was also born in the British Virgin Islands. And as a young man, he went to Cuba when he was a teenager and learned all the intricacies of baking, all kinds of stuff. That's what he was doing in Cuba. So he moved back here to St. Thomas and ran Lockhart Bakery, which was the only bakery on the island at that time. And he ran that for many years until he became a pastor, and then he retired. But he married to my mother at a very young age, and my mother was a homemaker, and she had to be. I had 9 brothers and sisters, and we all lived in the same house. She did a tremendous job raising us, and I would like to extend a little on that at a later time. But thank you anyway, and I'll appreciate your audience, and I'll say something else a little later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to also welcome Miss Tin Tin Hart from Dong Street as well.
Thank you so much for not saying the other name.
I was put
I'm
on the
not going-
manners, that's why.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the respect. I am not going to take the format that everybody else did, because my family make up of 2, the Baptist and the Carlwood. Okay? The Baptist, like in the Bible, Baptist, so we did. And my uncle, which was Mr. Sidney Baptist, he was the first person that used to measure the land and tell you whether or not they were home, they were in your property or not, okay? My mother, his sister, quiet. The opposite of her child, very quiet. And she raised us in church, which we do up to today. I have 2 brothers away, call me every day. How you feeling? I say, good. Because they're away. But, and wow, these little flies don't want me here. But anyway, I was a teacher for 18 years. I speaking in old people language. 18 years. And I did well. like the students would say, you were strict, but you help us today, because today we doing good. So I am the one and only Tintin, no duplicate. Have a nice day. Love you. Thanks for inviting me. And I gonna big up my Dong Street.
Awesome. Awesome. Mr. Alphonse Stoliard, I did some research on him. He's from all three islands, but today he's representing Upstreet specifically. And so I'd like to welcome Mr. Stoliard.
Thank you very much, Ms. Machina. As you did say, all three islands. I will start with my great-grandmother. She was born in St. Thomas, sister of Delsa Capterville's mother, her older sister, and my two aunts, they were Vanterpools. Their father was from Tortola, and I grew up with them, as well as my father and mother. Now, my grandfather, whose name was David Stallion, and you wouldn't find Stallion around much in the world, he came from Africans in St. Croix when they was French. You could go back for how long that was. And my grandmother, luckily, her father was one of those that burned down with the fire burn in St. Croix and escaped to St. John before he was shot. He managed to meet my grandmother's mother, who was a bastion in St. John, and got my grandmother in St. John. He bought property right across from the ballpark, the stadium, hospital line, and that's where my grandmother and my grandfather, when he came from St. Croix, he met my grandmother and got my father. But the tragedy of the situation is he gave us a curse in the family. He left in 1912, and my father did not meet him until 44 years later. Now, the thing with this is that now my father, he met my mother. He was from around the field. My mother was from Savannah. My other grandfather, her father, was an Ennis. He lived right there across from Brother Logan Church where I was born. So I grew up Savannah, Dong Street, and round the field, and now I'm living by the seaside with a wonderful air conditioner called Sea Breeze that I enjoy. So that's a little history about my life and my parents and my grandparents. And my father was a plumber, like Lucien described his father. He was a tinsmith and a plumber. My mother was a homemaker. She stayed in the house, but he went out and made the money. So those of you who from Upstreet would know my father because my cousins are all here, the DeWentz and the Petersons. So that's it for me. I will turn the mic over to Nadine. It's all yours.
Thank you so much. And finally, our last panelist for today would be Mr. Myron D. Jackson.
Thank you,
from
Nadine.
Upstreet.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadine, and good afternoon, members of the community. Thank you for coming. My parents were Hugo D. Jackson from Goat Street, and my mother is Bernice Peterson Jackson from this yard. I grew up between two properties, really three, because we lived at number 33 Hospital Ground, which was owned by Cyril Michael. There were modern apartment complexes built in the 60s, and we lived across from Winston Ramos Center. So that's actually where I grew up. My grandparents were Lorenzo Peterson and Marty Dieter Clendenin, who she married Lorenzo Peterson, whose brother was George, and my cousins sitting here, one under the umbrella and one holding the phone, the Petersons from George. They are his grandchildren. My great-grandparents were Anthony Peterson and Beatrice Eugenie Gums. She came from St. Martin, and she was a community baker, and they had a dry goods store here. This was a tenement yard where people lived, and she ruled this yard and the family with an iron fist. My father's parents were Eugenio Jackson, He was a night watchman at West Indian Company and owned Jackson Grocery with his wife, Eslyn Canton Jackson, from Free Bottom, Tortola. I grew up between those three properties and this neighborhood, this village. Thank you.
Okay, now we begin. I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. As I listened to all of the panelists today, they had something in common. And so I'm going to leave this question with you. This is going to be one of the questions that will come up later on. I want you to think about where my ancestral navel string is buried on this island. Think about that. And so I want, wait, don't sit down. I want everyone to, of the panelists, I'd like to start with the idea that there's so many of you that sort of come from different areas of the island. You're representing one neighborhood. How was your interaction when you were growing up in that particular neighborhood with another neighborhood? Did you date in that neighborhood? Did you play sports against that other neighborhood? How was your interaction with that other neighborhood? Anybody, raise your hand. You can think. Okay, here we go.
Well, my interaction with Down Street was I was a field boy, but I lived Down Street. And our interaction was also play baseball. I remember when the first Little League started, my father, I asked him, I was working at the hospital, the old hospital roof. I said, Daddy, them boy trying to start a game. He said, well, go down, go see what they're doing. And I went down. But the farm boys had already formed a team. And so I played with Anglican Church. This was the first Little League in the Virgin Islands. And somehow or the other, when I made the All-Stars, and when the field boys, now the field boys were very strict, you know. They didn't play with nobody in the field. Little boys had to sit on the bottom step in the bleachers. As you got older, you went up in rank till you get at the top. Now, one day after the league was finished, them dudes approached me and said, Student, where you live? I said, but I live at the farm, because we used to call ourselves the farm boys, because the field was where we were raised playing baseball. That's what the name was for the ballpark, the farm, because we raised athletes, baseball players.
So you raised around the field, and it was called the farm.
Yes,
Okay.
because the field was the farm. That's where you know, like when you got potato and you come out the farm, right? So our baseball players came out the farm. That was where we produced baseball players. And for those of you who don't know it, Elrod Hendricks came out the farm. He lived at Boggs home. His grandmother was Miss Isa, that lived right next to my grandmother. And like somebody was talking about the grandmother, their grandmother, my grandmother, all three of them hang together. That's Miss Blackman.
So who else came out of the farm? You were talking about sports athletes. So you mentioned one name.
Well, much of you wouldn't probably remember him. His name was Roland Adams. He went to the New York Yankees. He was the first one. But unfortunately, one of the guys from around the field, Fraser, and his brother, stabbed him up and cut off his career.
Okay.
You see, he got so much melee from around the field, I can't go into all that.
Okay, so let's move to Down Street. Now, Down Street and Savant to me seem like a very close neighborhood, but could you date somebody in Garden Street or Up Street? Mr. Davis?
No.
No?
Down Street was a place, especially where I used to live, that had all the different sports that you can think of. And we always formed teams down there. You want a swimming team, there was a swimming team. You want a baseball team, there was a baseball team.
Where were they swimming?
Don't forget, I was living down street before we had a waterfront. So we just go to the edge of the water and swim.
Awesome.
But we had all the different sports that you could think about. And the thing about living in Down Street is in the Buckhole area where I live, the parents were also involved. They would make sure that you have whatever balls you need, whatever gloves you need, etc. And we played right there. But most importantly, Buckhole was 50% Puerto Ricans.
So you're talking about Bucko, and we want to talk about some of the neighborhoods within the bigger neighborhood.
Yes.
Because we have quite a few of them. But I want to know, you would play against, you say you played sports, would you play against somebody from Wrong the Field?
Oh, yes.
You could date somebody in Wrong the Field too.
As a matter of fact, when we were going to school, that was the thing that we used to do. We would play ball right here in this stadium here against whatever school was available.
And who was the best?
Well, we were the best, naturally. When I went into the military, when I went into the military, I started to play baseball. I never played baseball here. When I went into the military, I started.
Wait,
Yes.
hold, Mr. Stollard, hold on one second. Hold on.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Davis.
Okay. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that we had all the different sports, and I could really extend on that because even tennis, we learned to play tennis in Buckhole. And most importantly is we used to listen to the games out of Puerto Rico. And because I had so many Puerto Rican friends, I can follow the game in Spanish. That's what I got out of living in Buckhole.
I want to go down the road to Miss Maduro, Mabel. So you lived on Frenchman Hill.
Yes.
Tell me about school and how you traversed, or what did you do? How did you interact with people? Because you're on Frenchman Hill, actually on the other side, closer to Dong Street, right? You're on the other side.
We were on the cusp, the borderline.
Okay.
So I interacted with children from Dong Street, up street. Myron probably was my best friend in them days. We ended up running for Prince and Princess, so they had it covered. So I spent a lot of time up here with the Jackson family. Down street, you had the Creakies, the Lindos. Can't remember everybody's name, but so, and then maybe because my dad was a politician and I was born into politics, 1958, so I'm 1957. I was all over the island, up street, down street, and mainly in Savannah because, as I mentioned earlier, my grandparents had the grocery store, so I spent a lot of time in the grocery store selling special. Many of you might know Miss Azzy special, especially the milk special, right? And it was a provisional store, and my assignment, if you will, and I learned a lot from my grandfather, is I helped him count the money, which was pennies and nickels and dimes, and he would teach me about the denominations, like what makes up 25 cents and all of this. And it's odd because as an adult and in my career, I've always been responsible for handling other people's money. So he taught me about entrepreneurship, let's put it that way. But
so tell us, between you and Mr. Molinar, could you please tell me the names of the stores that were in the neighborhood? I know that there was Perkins.
Right, the Evans store. I remember Miss Grace. She was a good friend of my Aunt Ada, who was a beautician. She had her own hair salon. Miss Grace, I believe, was the grandmother of the current governor of the Virgin Islands, Albert Bryan. And I always just remember her pretty eyes, and she baked and she sewed. Maybe Lucian could expound more on some of the other businesses, but I thought it would be appropriate because I'm a historic preservationist in a sense. So I have an article here by Edith DeYoung Woods, dated October 2000, and she describes Savannah so aptly as a close-knit community. That's what it was. Well-known St. Thomians were born and raised there. You had people like Valdemar Hill, Rochelle Francis, Oswell Skinny Harris, Earl B. Otley, Alton Adams, James Brown, Alwyn Richards, educators like Mildred Watlington, Andrews, J. Antonio Jarvis, Eulalie Stevens, P. Peterson, and seamstresses like Eden Adams, cake makers. Oh, she has Enid in here, but Edna Adams, Felix Padilla, the hat maker,
Padilla.
Jose Jimenez, the poet, George Mina, the first local judge, and Willie Pickering, the electrician. You had the painters, you had the Schultebrunns, who I'm related to, the cigar maker, Amadeo Estrell, the painter, Mario Lewis, former property and procurement commissioner, Roy L. Schneider, the former governor, and an oncologist, Warren C. Smith, Dr. Reuben Strawberry Ramsey, and barber and boxer,
Okay.
and Aubrey Utley. So you had, everybody came out of Savon, it seems like.
So,
emanated from Savon.
As we and I'm going to move to Dr. Moliner in a minute, but we talk about Savon, we're talking about those, and Savon being one of the oldest communities, and you're seeing a lot of the Tortolians coming in to Savon area, and almost every governor of these islands from this district and a couple from St. Croix actually lived in Savon or come out of Savon, with the exception of one. And so Savon has that special place. But as we go through all the neighborhoods, I have special things about each neighborhood too, right? So, Dr. Molinar, could you, I come into you in 1 second. Dr. Molinar, could you tell me any other names of stores that were prominent in the Savon area?
Not really. I know Strawberry Barber. He cut the hair of all of us in school. But you asked about dating, and you're getting into people's business. When you ask who we
I just
dated.
said generally, I didn't say who and where and how.
Yeah.
I just said generally.
No, generally, I went to Catholic school, and I always look back with a smile in my face that we were really limited, at least in Catholic school, to the girls in Catholic school area. At least if they were in that area, fine. The girls in high school, I was reminding Hillis the other day, we were talking about that. Girls like Hillis and Doris Penn and those that you would see, we in the Catholic school only looked at them and we said, okay, fine, we know they're there, but they're out of our reach because we are only Catholic school boys, So we didn't date too many outside of the Catholic school area. But Savon did, as Mavis was alluding to, Savon, when you asked me to talk about Savon, I realized that I went away to school at an early age, and by the time I returned, the islands had begun that massive change that we're now seeing. And I mean, in the decade of the 60s, the entire island, including Savon, had changed significantly. But I remember that Savon was indeed the heartbeat of St. Thomas. From Savon flowed I call it the social nutrient that flowed through the veins of St. Thomas. It was the pulse, and that doesn't detract from the contributions of the other neighborhoods, upstreet, downstreet, etc. But Savon indeed set the pace for St. Thomas. Savon was the first documented voting bloc that politicians had to respect. It was something that they had to deal with.
So we're going to, thank you. We're going to move to Garden Street. And since Lily is the only person representing today,
Not a problem.
she's going to cover both Long Path and Garden Street. And my question for you is, what is Garden Street known for? Long Path, Garden Street, known for?
Well, I know growing up, they always talk about their lovely plants in front of everyone's home. But if you think back, my neighborhood is unique in its own way because it's two streets. It's unusual. And we're in the middle of Dong Street, Savon, and
We can't hear you. Put
Dong
it-
Street.
the Angelus
and,
is
I'm
playing.
sorry. Savon is on this end. Up street, down street, we're in the middle. We're in the heart of the pulse, as Dr. Molina said, but we are unique in our own way. We are different. Our neighborhood was closely knit. It had a mixture of people, and which I like and don't like. When I say I don't like, it's not in a negative, because if you live in a neighborhood of Garden Street and Long Path, you're talking about a bunch of educators. You talking about they're going to tell your mother, they're going to tell your father. And then they turn around on Sunday, they go into the same church. So I am saying we are closely knitted, but it's a nice place to have lived. I'm not saying anything. It is, I like what it is. And I consider ourselves unique in who we are and what we were all about. Yes, we talk about Savannah, everybody's a pulse, this, everything. But my neighborhood is, I have to say, I like to show off. I'm pompous about it because you starting by governors. Mabel said all about her governors, but I started out first. I have first governor come up the street in God Street is Governor DeCastro.
Absolutely.
So therefore, I have to show the whole thing off. Okay, and then you go up a little further, you have different persons of community-minded people. Across from Governor DeCastro's house is the Eppersons, which is Victor, Angela, and Leona. Eppersons, they are Bryans. You going up a little further, you have Rick Ricardo, Earl Ricardo. I'm just talking about Garden Street since you mentioned that. And of course, you have your father up the side steps, because and then you have Heathcliff Benjamin, you have Elton Malone, you have the Georges, and then you go up a little bit forward, you have the Western, and then you have Miss Hay, and then you turn the corner for education, you got the whole kids. I mean, you have the convent, the nuns that were there from Anglican Church. You have everything in that particular, and then if you turn the corner in Adele Street, you're talking about police, Chesterfield. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying all the neighborhoods are so unique in what they have. And the shops, I don't call them grocery stores, I call them shops. Entrepreneurs in every neighborhood here, downstream. We always had entrepreneurs in our neighborhood, you know. You didn't have to go far for a shoemaker, a barber. Well, I ain't gonna talk about the dentist then because I had too much in my neighborhood. And you had a blacksmith and everything, and then you had the rubber seamstresses. I am proud about the neighborhoods that we have, that we were raised with. There's nothing else but to show off in the neighborhood. Long Part is that's another thing by itself. I ain't able. You had Mr. Melchior. If he smiles with you, you feel good.
Yes.
And if you turn the corner, you have Elmo, the Robux. Across the street, you had Mr. Remo. We had the ambulance driver, Sambito. Conero Home, the senior citizen home. And then you had the other gentleman in Maduro's in both sides. They come Bunker Hillside, and they also come down on our Miss Bianca Andre. And of course, you have the midwife, most babies.
Miss Blyden.
Blyden, I ain't gonna show off with the Wilma Blyden whole history right there.
Yes.
I'm just saying. So you have so much things to talk about. In every neighborhood, we can boast about who we are and what we are. So I'm not gonna harass anybody.
I just want to add a couple names. Miss Jane E. Tuitt.
Yes.
Living in that neighborhood. Miss Cancrine.
I don't want to
living
say
in
that's
that
an
neighborhood.
educators.
I'm just going up the road.
What I'm saying, Miss Cancrine is a teacher, and then she's an organist with the same church I go into. That don't make no sense.
But Miss Tuitt lived down there. At least when Daddy was playing basketball, I know the story. So
and then you have Miss Porter and Porter, the Girl Scout leader.
Yes.
So I'm saying you had people that you don't.
Miss Stackman.
Piano, you have everybody.
So we're going to move to now, and the gardens. That is what I know Garden Street for. The beautiful gardens that women who own these properties had beautiful gardens coming off of their galleries. We're going to go to Tintin now, and I want you to tell me what is special about Down Street.
I'm going to tell you what's special. We were together. Down Street was together. We were through the alley, and we were together. Okay? And we had, and the thing of it, what I remember most is like hurricane season. Everybody go upstairs, so a lady named Miss Nenny, we used to call her Nenny, and everybody pull the little piece of whatever they have left, like the lajin, and you throw it on the floor, and everybody set and ready. When school over, if you reach home before your mother, your nanny or somebody take care of you. I mean, it was really a community.
So where was this house specifically?
Which house?
The place you say when, yes. Where exactly?
The thing with Chudale, they didn't have a whole lot of houses, but this was some Mr. Calwood, supposed to be some uncle, I think, of mine, and they had a two-story, like, you know, a build up, go up the steps and whatnot. Then you had the Jacksons on the side, and, you know, family, and we were one. honestly looked out for each other and, you know, and whatnot. We weren't like comparing to say, like, oh, that one got Frigidaire, so my mother gonna buy a Frigidaire tomorrow. My mother probably couldn't afford a Frigidaire, but whatever we need help or whatever, we were really good in Dong Street. The only thing now that I regret is that Simmons Alley was never called and looked at as no drug alley. And as they say Simmons now, it come like that's all you could think about. Simmons Alley was Simmons. That was a grocery store we had there. We had Chenery and
Before
listen,
Chenery-
you justified
before
uptown.
Simmons was Chenery, I lived in the
Mr.
Yeah, but you had your
Stoleyard,
turn.
please.
Yeah, but he had his, don't worry, now, I could defend myself. He had it on. Okay? And what I'm saying is the mere fact that I ain't say he didn't live there, you know, but you had your turn. So, what I'm saying, and see, no man knows you disrupt me.
I ain't do a
We
thing to
had
you.
Chenery and the side, the store that we could go and buy our stuff with. From, we had the Grahams on top, and I had my big school with, and again, even though she was at Washington School, she come from Garden Street, so it didn't matter where they come from. We used wherever we had.
So
our
tell me
ability.
about, there was I keep hearing from people as I speak to people on a daily basis about a shoe store.
Because
Mr. Bazi.
Mr. Bazi,
Okay.
yeah, that's the shoemaker.
Okay.
And every time I need, because you know nobody want to buy no new shoes every minute, so you have to carry them to get a little soul. And then the beauty of it was when you graduate from 6th grade, then you go to the man to take your picture, Mr. Abbott. Take your
So
picture.
right over here.
And where?
He was here?
He was by Carclay School.
Okay.
By Carclay. Okay.
Okay. All right.
And
In my time period, I remember the shop being right here. So that's why I say so.
yeah, but that's why I'm telling you, Dong Street come first.
Okay.
No,
Thank
but
you.
honestly,
Thank you.
honestly, you know, and I learned the biggest thing when I was growing up on Marble Plain. I used to win a lot. I was quacksa, right? So I
Okay,
like
explain
that.
what's a quadsa.
Quacksa is the man who could knock you down from any end.
Hold on. I just want to make sure that we're catching everything.
A quacksa, right?
Up.
You're playing. He put on his.
Put the mic up to your.
He put on his, right? And I have to knock it to get to win, right? Or there was another game that you used to stay away from. My son, the knuckles, God, yeah, what 3 hole, yeah, my son, them 3 hole and thing. But I was always like, they would have say in them time, a man, woman can play all the man game them. Okay?
Okay.
And then I went on to Savbal. We started there. And from Savbal, I saw the wall. So, Dong Street, and like I say, we are together. And it was very respectful. Very, very respectful. Okay? Nobody had to say, like, she tell a lie on me, or she this. No, my son. Your mother had no work. Once they get that complaint, you gone. They're taking it because adults in their time, they think never used to lie. So, right away, you're in trouble. But it was very, very worthwhile. Okay? Up to today, we know the Dong Streeters, and we are still one. We are still one.
Awesome.
Okay? The biggest thing I didn't like is when I gotta go for water.
Tell me where you went to get water.
To the reservoir, right there on the side, and then somebody knocking out you. And then they knocking out your pan because you smaller than them, and you know this kind of thing. You have to go for water and you can't disrespect them. You can't disrespect anybody because your mother ain't hearing your side of the story. She just hearing what the people them say, and you're behind getting caught.
Okay.
But I glad. It make me where I am today.
There you
Thank
go.
God. Blessings, everybody.
So Myron,
He could add a different. We have a lot to say. Myron saying all the time, you lucky.
Myron, tell me, I have two questions for you. Tell me what is Upstreet known for? And then I would like to know your earliest memory.
I'd like to start with the early memory first.
Okay.
My early recollections was growing up in Upstreet. I'm a fifth generation Upstreet Hospital ground. So I could trace my family here 5 generations. And as I stated earlier, when my parents returned from New York, they rented an apartment from Cyril Michael, who was the judge. His wife was Mrs. Michael, who was a home ec teacher at Charlotte Hamley High School, who was related to the Davis family, and was the sister to J. Antonio Jarvis. She, so growing up in 33 Hospital Ground was modernity. Visiting my grandparents' grocery was old time. My grandparent groceries were across the street from Benjamin Oliver and Goat Street. It had an alley that you could walk from L&C Milliner alley through Goat Street, through the alley next to my grandparents to get to the field where the mechanic shop is. There was Mr. Moorhead, Dr. Moorhead lived on that side. That street had Dr. Smith on top. I think McDonald came after Mr. Williams bar. You had the Fredericks, the Olivers. You had Cherise Creaky. I see Gwen Creaky, grandmother was up. Miss Brown was on top of the hill. Mr. Machena, father. So when they say he was up in Lampart, his father was in Goat Street. Then you had Miss Malone, who was Mr. Malone, the photographer. Amy Malone, she was an educator. Then you had the Simmons, you had the Plaskers, the Jacksons from around the field used to live there at one time, but they moved from there. Lima at one time was on that street, and they moved in. So the fabric store now are the descendants of those Limas that came from Puerto Rico and settled in Upstreet, had businesses. Then we could get down to the corner. We have Mr. Benjamin, we have Mr. Williams for it was Mr. Williams, he had a bar. The Gentleman of Williams, that was on Hospital Line. And then you came down to Miss Malone's mother, which Claude Malone and Amy Malone's mother used to live on the corner. Don't forget Miss Imelda restaurant. And then we had the Clendenins were in a big yard there. Those were my cousins. So my early recollection was we had no running water in, at that time, maybe a standpipe in that business. And we had an outdoor toilet that I dreaded. And I think I've had several accidents because I would try to get around Hospital Ground 33. I dreaded going into the outdoor toilet. It was a wooden building privy with a wooden base with a cover with a garbage pan underneath it, with a trap door in the back. And I was a little boy, so I always used to dread falling into this thing. The other thing I used to dread is the cistern. We had a grappler. You know what a grappler is?
No.
A grappler is a 3-prong hook. When your bucket busts in the well or in the cistern, you throw the grappler down and try to get a handle of your bucket and pull up. So that was always close by. And you had to pull. But if you ain't strong enough to hold a bucket, sometimes that thing pulling you in, or you get cut on your hand from the hole in the rope. But all in all, my experiences in growing up around the field, running from the night soil truck, going to my grandfather. He had lived by Jacob Garage. He had moved from the grocery store. The Monsantos lived on that side. There was a big yard owned by George Conrad. We call it Tamarind Tree Yard, where
Where is
Miss
that?
Mimey.
Where is that?
Tamarind Tree Yard is up the street where the parking lot is now.
Okay.
Right? So you had
That's
a
at the alley.
right, you had a shoemaker, Papito. What your name? Papito? What your name? Yeah, well anyway, he was from Puerto Rico. Okay. Well, I don't know about the house. When I grew up, I didn't know if I know the Frasers there. I don't know about horse stable. I know about Texas. He was the Fraco man. You had Miss Miney. She had a bar, and the Lima family had a grocery store in the corner, which you go and you get your French bread. Your mother send you down in the morning to get French bread, some sausage or cut ham and box cheese. You come back. You get your warm, my grandfather used to fix warm grass with milk and brown sugar. He used to have a 5-gallon outside in the yard where he used to torch crab. He used to go bring crab back, put cornmeal in the barrel, and we used to take sticks. And sometimes, of course, that crab would get away, hold your hand, you start bawling and then going on. There was several Puerto Rican families. Olga and Elga, their father had a shop across from Ellie Blyden's family, and they had a grocery store, but they came from Puerto Rico, so the two Puerto Rican families I know upstreet was half their family and the Limas expanded up on Pallyburg. They closed that one and they moved on Pallyburg across from the Smiths before Miss Gabriel. So upstreet had a lot. I remember my great-grandmother generation growing up in upstreet, because people used to pass our house to go to the outdoor toilet. The government had outdoor toilets and standpipes all through these neighborhoods. One standpipe right there by the corner where the air conditioned place and the tire place on the corner, owned by George Conrad. The other one was down by Mr. Loran. There was one around. There was one around by the Fret at the bottom of the hill by Miss Hatchett, had a standpipe, and then we had the catchment. So people used to go. But every afternoon after I come from school, I could hear shoes dragging and a knocking of a patty cover, hitting the cover as this woman walked from Hospital Ground, from where the mahogany trees rung Denton with her patty. She didn't wear shoes close up. She wears the shoes were pushed down and the back make slippers. And she come in with her patty, ting, 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 cross the gut, go across to the Taman yard, open the door for the water, for the public toilet, and throw her thing into that toilet and walk back up the street.
Ting, 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 ting.
Yeah. So we know when Christmas was coming, because they would hire women to cut the bush and the fences and clean the yard. You know when Christmas coming, you hear Miss Eleonora Robles and her choir start practicing, and then she asking for wood for her outdoor oven, because she used a community oven to bake roast goat, pig, if the Moravians had something, or there was a wedding.
Oven?
Her community oven was on Hospital Line, really on the backside of where Denton Street is, where the Creakies live. So she had an oven behind her house. She had a big yard, and that oven was there. And the next oven I know of was Miss Elsa Del Toro up by the Beaver House.
Okay.
The Van Beaver House she had an oven. So my father had a truck, so he would be assigned to go pick up the roast goat for the church for spend day. You know what spend day is? That's when the Moravians have a day. Moravian Memorial had one, Niski had one, Nuhan had one. You go and spend the day, you buy things, you buy food, you play games, you look at movies, etc. So my life in Upstreet was old world and new world. And it's an experience that has enriched my life. I think from growing up in this community, right here in this yard, had a house here. My grandfather in later life was living in one. Alfonso Christian, when he came from St. Croix, he was living upstairs here. He rented. There was an oven my great-grandmother had in this yard because she was a baker, and she had another oven upstairs. That one was used for Sundays. This one was used for regular, and she had a backyard. The Calistros are next door. Dennis is here. He's probably one of the last residents, old-time residents on this street. So you go down here, you have the Gifts, the Smithises, you have the Rogers, La Rogers Laundry, you have
Roberts,
and Mr. Cheap. He was a policeman. He was living across the. I want to say Chippy, but Mr. Dowling, right? And then you had Mr. Rimple, who worked at West Indian Company, which is this yard here. You had Mr. Abbott after he moved from down street. He moved to Studio here. They live upstairs.
Okay, so I have a question now. I have a question for Mr. Stoleyard. And the question is, within the Upstreet neighborhood, I'm hearing you called different neighborhoods or different areas. So other than, and I know that the Watsons lived up that way someplace. Could you tell me the Watsons behind Jayad?
Watson live in the area behind, they call it, you name it Resurrection Street based on the street naming.
Right, but what was that neighborhood called?
As far as going up on the field, they had no name.
So you
They had no name.
They call themselves
You
something.
see,
They're going to come to me.
when Emmanuel them was living where they call in Jayad, no. It didn't have no Jayad at the time neither.
So
you
talk
got to
about...
understand one thing. My one talking about from the 60s up. My background would be from the 40s come up.
So tell me about Wrong the Coast and all those neighborhoods.
From the coast was Boggs housing, right? But when they built Pearson Garden and Oswald Harris Court, most of the people then moved from Boggs home and they went to those places. I know that for a fact because I used to go up there to a lady my father was dating. You understand? No, I ain't ashamed to say. My brother from Boggs Hole. From Boggs home, my brother Johnny. My other brother David from Savan. I was from Savan. You follow where I'm coming from? I don't call a spade a spade. My younger brother, born round the field, right there where the garage is, right there across from where he didn't remember, come and see.
Come and see.
And before it was come and see, it was Samsung. Samsung took it over from come and see. Samsung. Okay. You see, you got to remember one thing, you know. Mr. Wheatley was right here. Okay, then Mr. Conrad was across the street. You understand?
And his nickname was
Criterion. Used to buy our oil. He had a little short fellow who used to walk in here. He used to sell oil. Remember they used to pump oil in you go with your gallon bottle. And you get your oil for your lamp or to put on your coal pot when you're gonna light it because you got to realize electric stove and gas stove wasn't around that time. You see? So, and the corner there...
Wait. Do you have the mic up to your mouth, please?
No, I was saying, on the corner right there, there was one particular lady living in the house. I think she was related to... No.
Blake?
Mr. Rimple was in this one here.
Blake across the street?
Miss Blake. I used to call her Miss Blake because the other family, the sister them, were living next door, next to Manasseh Bosyard. The first Bosyard was Aparicio Bosyard, which was up at the end of Palibok. Manasseh Bosyard was right in here where the Board of Education got their building now. Okay? Now, Myron didn't say when he was talking about anything, he didn't mention Harry Fry Fish. Well, you're young. Harry Fry Fish was on the corner across from Lowell Father, right? Then you had Leal Pickering them coming up the road. And then you had Miss Amelia. She lived in the house right next door to Stanley Forden and them. Miss Toto was my name. Miss Toto taught me all I need to know.
But who is Miss Toto?
Miss Toto was the elderly lady that lived across the street right across from Nalima. I live in the yard. Wait, let me get you Miss Esteline Penn had a rum shop, right? She had about 5 daughters. We all live in well, it wasn't a long, it was like a yard, right? We live this way. Miss Pendem had that way, and Ira Chesterfield and another lady he don't know about, Miss Madam. She lived at the end.
Miss Madam.
Yeah, that's what we used to call her. Her name was Catherine Daly.
Thank you.
But you
Remember,
see,
we recording, so there
but
are
yeah,
lots of
but
people
in
that
our
don't
yard,
know, right?
in our yard, there was a cistern and an oven. And also, the toilet was, you go through there because we had to bathe, right? The toilet was here, and we were bathing right in the middle, behind the cistern and Miss Madam house.
So, Mr. Stollyard,
Yes.
what was your earliest memory of Upstreet?
My earliest memory of streets? My earliest memory of street is where they play ball.
Playing ball.
Yeah, but then we had a little field.
And who were you playing with, against?
All the boys them from on the field who were my age were coming the field. And the big fellows, now let me give you a little history about Upstreet. The bigger fellows will we play in the ball field, the big ball field, till they come to practice because we weren't allowed in the field, and Saturdays was cricket.
Okay.
Sundays was baseball. But all the young people, and we had swing, we had slider, we had everything for entertainment for young people in the little field. And that's where we play softball. Now, when Tintin was speaking, I was trying to remind her that they had a place where I went to school, Washington School. I was the only man from around the field could say that they went to school down the street, which was Washington School. And they played ball in Washington School yard. Am I correct? One of the best girls that came out playing ball was a lady named Miss Karen Peterson. Karen, Tintin could vouch for that. You understand? Because when we got to Washington School in the morning, we played what you call tennis. You bounce the ball against the wall of the third grade classroom and you catch it, or else you play strike out, wherever we play. But that was the training ground for the young people them in Dung Street. See, because I didn't only live around the field. I went to school Dung Street to Washington School. I was the only boy had to walk all the way down Main Street to go to school. And do the same thing, come home.
So I just want to ask.
Go ahead and ask.
So I'm gonna ask sorry. We're going to come back. We're going this way and coming this way, but we need to get the group coming in because I want to have some audience questions engaged as well.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask Miss Tintin what her earliest memory would have been of her growing up. Your earliest memory of Dung Street.
My earliest memory? Oh, that mean we used to have to go kindergarten, French tongue.
So you went to French tongue for kindergarten?
Yeah, because it didn't
so
have,
Washington School wasn't there?
No, we didn't have kindergarten, at least when I was there. Okay? So we had to go walk from the alley through to go down French tongue to go to school for kindergarten.
Okay.
Okay? The late Miss, I was saying late,
Wilson.
I hope
You went to Miss Wilson?
No, my cousin Farrington Farrington used to work there, so she would take me down to. No, Miss Wilson was money paid. We weren't buying, we were going free. I said, listen, I tell you where I went. I went French tongue school, okay? Kindergarten. Maybe he right with the names, I don't know. Look how much years there is. I'm 79. I can't remember that.
Okay, so Mr. Davis, your earliest memory of Dung Street.
Well, I have a lot of things to talk about Down Street. First
I
of
want
all,
your earliest memory. That we're coming back to things because we're gonna have the audience ask questions. But
my earliest memory of Down Street is that the men and women of Down Street operated as if they were your father and mother. That's how close the community was. And wherever you go, if you made a mistake, they corrected you. And I had a lot of corrections in my time because I was full of energy. But the thing about it is I walked away from there learning almost everything that these adults knew. So as a man, as I grew up, I remembered that it was like I grew up in a university. So what I did, I went and I made a T-shirt that said that. And on the back of the T-shirt, I tried to remember all these men and women. As a matter of fact, I got my T-shirt here.
you have one for sale?
No.
You want one to give away to your favorite moderator?
The University of Bohol.
Oh my goodness.
And on the back, all the names that I remember growing up, I put there.
Okay,
see?
so I think that I am deserving of a T-shirt, don't you think?
Yeah, but this was done some 15, 20 years ago.
I understand, but I think one of the things I want to say is that, as you know, I am the granddaughter of a librarian, and I collect books. And so from Down Street, we have the Down Street St. Thomas and Beyond, compiled by Eric E. Dawson, Esquire.
Yeah, yeah.
We have Savaneros, done by Historic Preservation Commission with Myron Jackson and the crew. And I have Legacies of Upstreet, compiled by Ruth M. Molinar. And I mean, I hold these very, very treasured books, but I also collect other things, and that T-shirt would be something that I most certainly would appreciate in my collection as we talk about culture and history and so forth.
Yeah.
But I'm going to move on to Miss Garfield.
One more thing before
Yes.
I leave. Like I said, the men and women of Bohol were actually teachers. And some of the things my mother taught me when I was 5 and 6 years old, I still practice them up to today. And I went into a bookstore to get just a little book to write some things on. And when I saw this book and the writing on the front of the book, exactly what my mother taught me that I live by up to today. And this is the book here. I bought it right here in St. Thomas. And it says, be grateful, keep your promises, help others, love without condition, and listen to your heart. It's written right here in the book. Right. So I have a very good memory of growing up in Down Street. I lived there from until I was 19 years old when I went into the military. So
Thank you. We're going
you're
to
welcome.
move to Lily.
Yes, ma'am.
Your earliest memory
My early
in Langport.
Lampard area.
Yeah.
My earliest memory is from have to go to this house, to that house, drop this off to this house, go down by Miss Sasso, go down by this other one. I have like 4 plates of food going all over. You have to do everything, check to see if they need anything. If I have to go to the Walter Din shop, okay, and then they send you to Miss Elsa shop. One thing you had to do, like Mr. Davis is saying, we were close knitted. No matter which neighborhood you come from, you had to do chores. You do not forget to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And playing in Langport, you had to, when Mr. DeWayne ring the Angelus at 6 o'clock, there is no noise in the street anymore. You had to be in your house at 6 o'clock. If anybody see you out, like Turu Mother, she gonna tell everybody. But it's a unique area, and it's nice, but I realized when I was saying, we invited me to come to this program, I said, but this is an interesting thing because each neighborhood is unique, and I really must say that everybody looked out for each other. And that's one thing I will always remember growing up. I don't go for care if I go through the alleys, because no matter what alley, hey, where you going? Where friends send you? Because they send you over, so you can't hide. And they had no internet and cell phone to record everything. How they know so much before you reach home?
That was
So
always
that
a
is-
question of mine. I am sure
And
there's a
that
question
is
of everybody
unique.
else too.
Everybody here would say that.
Yes.
But I enjoyed, like I said, I respect how we were raised. I really do. I do.
Awesome. Dr. Molinar, your earliest memory running through and visiting Savannah.
Basically, it was actually the closeness of all the families there, especially on Frenchman Hill. The 2 Newton families, the DeWayne family, the Baptist family. We were like one big family with subdivisions with different names. That's exactly actually how it was. But one of the fondest memories I have, speaking of the 3 neighborhoods upstreet.
Could you put the mic closer to you?
Pardon me, Down Street, Frenchman Hill, and Savannah, was flying kites. As simple as that might seem, that was the one thing that brought the guys from all 3 areas together. The area which used to be known as Harborview Hotel. On the western end of that property, there was a steep embankment supported by a stone masonry wall, aptly named Stone Wall. And Stone Wall was the kite flying mecca for us during the month of April, just around the Easter time when the winds are raising up. And guys would come from Savannah, four from Down Street, and we from Frenchman Hill, we'd fly kites. The fellows from Savannah always had a little edge because all the kites at that time were made by Mr. Valak, who had his shop right there, not on Redgeringsgade, the street over from Redgerings. He made the kites, and he made them without power tools. He made them by hand, and he did a wonderful job. He made sure that each kite was properly measured. He decorated them with the most beautiful tissue paper you could find, and he used the great glue. And I mentioned the glue because when our kites got torn and we fixed them at home, we had no glue, but we had flour and water, and that would make a glue. Unfortunately, the rats also loved the flour and water, but so we would patch our kites, and in the morning they'd be torn to shreds. But that kite flying on Stonewall brought all of us together. I mean, the area was so well suited to that, you would swear that on the 8th day, God created Stonewall just for flying kites. And it did bring us together. I remember that quite well.
Beautiful. I've heard of that. And my father-in-law speaks about it in a film, in the WTJX film, and interviewed Mr. Valak. I think he lived on Gamle Gada, if I'm not mistaken. And that is an awesome memory. You know, you cannot fly kites within our town district. You have to be 30 miles away from the airport or something, some confusion. So it's really difficult to fly kites now, yes. And so it's really something that's important, and our young people don't really get a lot of that activity any longer. So thank you for that. And Mabel, could you tell me of your earliest memory in Savannah?
Memory. Well, a lot of the other panelists, Dr. Molinar, Lillian, Mr. Davis, I share some of those memories too, maybe not as in depth as you, but living on Frenchman Hill, I always thought we lived like a family. We had my cousins next door, my uncle, then you had the Molinars, you had the Millers, Benvenuti, and Lockhart's, right, next door. And then we go right down into Savannah, where I spent most of my time with my grandparents. And there was just a lot of love, respect, and a building of community. The Schulterbruns, Sebastians, Richards, I remember Uncle Henry Richards. I think he sold candies and so forth. I mean, I was he was a candy man. The store, my grandparents' store, had lots of candies. I ate too much candy, but it was just a lot of love and respect, and I learned a lot. And if I was to encapsulate what I learned from being in Savannah and Frenchman Hill, it would be leadership, entrepreneurship, and building community. And as I said earlier, because of that, any work that I have done moving forward as an adult with my career have been based on those three things. So, and I think I really admire and commend like Upstreet organization for trying to restore and reactivate that in our communities, because that's what we're lacking nowadays. So,
thank you. I'd like now to move to the community, because I know that you have burning questions. And so I'm walking this way. I see a hand up. Hold on. I'm coming with the mic.
Miss Maduro, we lived on milk special. How much was for your special?
Well, I didn't have to pay because I used to help my grandmother make it.
How much was
it? I think it was no
2
more
cents?
I think no more than 5 cents, from what I remember.
Yes. You know it's 50 and $1 now, right?
Wow.
Yes.
Inflation or what?
Yeah. Always, because the milk was more expensive. I don't know if you all mentioned Anesta. And
Miss
the party,
Anesta, yeah,
did
the
you?
party.
Because
No, I did not.
I would leave from round the field and go Savannah to get the best party, Miss Anesta's party.
And she was there up until at least the early 2000s, because as an adult, when I became an entrepreneur in Savannah in the 80s, Miss Anesta was there. We had about 15 merchants on General Gata. We came together. We had the Savannah Merchants Association, and our mission was to restore the sense of pride and increase the visibility of Savannah as an area that was originally the hub of all economic activity, and encourage people to come back to the area. And so I could share stories about what happened in the 80s as we tried to do that. We got on the map, and we had a thriving business activity in that area in the 80s.
Okay, so I see a hand up here.
Good afternoon, everybody. I did not hear you speak about any of the Victorias. Did you know the Victorias from 21 Hospital Ground? Yes. Polo? Yes. He was a musician. That was my grandparents.
I didn't know she was. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Go ahead, Myron.
I lived at 33 Hospital Ground. The Victorias lived across the street on the corner, Mr. Victoria. He also played in the community band with Mr. Monsanto, David Monsanto, who was also adjacent or the next lot over after the Francis Monsanto, because Mr. Francis and thing. Yeah, he did play clarinet. So you had Tira Hodge. She was also Miss Tira Hodge. She worked at a hospital. She was wrong the coast, and we just named the street Tira Hodge Street for Rangburg's home, because her property is across the street from now what is the Wick building at the old Nude Hansen Hospital. So Mr. Victoria and his family lived right there, and they had a concrete house. They had a modern house. They used to maintain it. They had awnings over the front and a beautiful yard, very quiet, unassuming, and we loved Mr. Victoria and his wife. His wife had a beautiful garden. They weren't very tall people either. They were very short. So I grew up with the Victorias as neighbors.
Okay, and we have one comment back here.
Good afternoon. I am here. There's one thing that comes to my mind so many times. First of all, the favorite candy I used to get from right here was Mary Jane. I don't know if you remember Mary Jane. So you laugh about it. But the thing I want to mention is this. On Sundays years ago, you didn't hear any calypso, any other type of music. It was mostly classical or religious music. And my uncle, who lived across the street right here, Amos E. Benjamin, would start out on a Sunday playing his classical music. And right up here, Alton A. Adams would be hearing his, my uncle's, and he'd put on his.
It started from Saturday night.
From Saturday night, right. You're absolutely right. And next thing you know, my uncle would turn up his volume. Everybody. Then next thing you know, Mr. Adams turned up his volume. And in this whole area, right, Myron, all you can hear was classical music from Saturday night all the way Sunday. That was one of the things I remember so clearly. And I have a bunch of other stories I could tell you, but for another time.
Larry,
I'm innocent.
tell them also the comic books on the corner.
Oh, yes. My aunt, my uncle's wife, had a still store right in the same building, the Unity store. And in that Unity store, that's where you can get all your comic
All the
books
books you need to read.
and all you write, and the candies and everything. It wasn't in competition with Jackson, but it was it was good. All right, thank you.
Jackson was my grandfather. He was on Gold Street. Mr. Whitley was here right across from us, but there was no competition because you had Mr. Whitley and you had Mr. Conrad with Criterion, right? But all the people supported all the stores in the neighborhood of Upstreet. And one thing, we've come to one point, wherever you live in St. Thomas, people respected each other and helped each other. And when they were talking about how fast the news was get home, the grapevine and the mailer phone was ready to go. When you reach home, you'll get a word. So everything, nothing was a hidden thing when you do something wrong. It was gone home to your parents before you reach home.
And another thing I had like as a child, I was living facing the graveyard, right? So every time the community band used to play for every funeral. And we play marble, my son, and the band coming on, and my uncle half deaf and half slow, knocking something. We live in the marble and we got to see who thing, right? But when anybody tell me today, oh, we from Upstreet, and I say, yeah, but guess what? It's only now why you could be buried. Everything used to end up down street because we are the only graveyard. So you say, yeah, but listen, nobody up there you could have go to a Moravian. If you was a Moravian, I probably could have got there, being a Moravian. It wasn't like that. But I'm saying everything, I just used to be bigging up down street. That's what it is. Anyhow, glad everybody here, but I must tell you something. It might not be important to a lot of you, but that's okay. Honestly, when Miss Finch asked me, I said okay and everything. And I have a daughter that's away sick for 24 years. And today, they called me, tell me she was going to have surgery. I do not leave my house at all whenever my child is in hospital. But I couldn't do this to you all because I had given you all my thing. Yes, she's a graduate. She have 2 masters, can't work for never work because she can't. But God is good, and we as Christians still keep holding and things. So I came, and it kind of like get me like from worrying. So I am saying to you all, thanks for, I mean, a disgusting, but but I have feeling. But my daughter Jackie, and that's how it is. Okay?
We continue to pray. As a community, we pray all the time, yes? It is part of who we are as a full community and an understanding. And so we continue to pray for all our family members, and we are all extended families. I don't even have to say friends, because if I sit down here, I could say, okay, I related to this person and they related to that person, as we are one community. Ms. Shelterbrand?
Good afternoon, Ms. Finch and Ms. Matrena Ken and all members of the panel. I'm Gail Schulterbrand, and I wanted to give a tribute to Savan because in the early days when Denmark ruled here, there were certain areas that were racially segregated, and people of African descent were not allowed to live there. There were only 2 ways that people of African descent could be free. One of them is that the European father could free his baby at birth, and that baby would be free and get the name. And the second way is that the Danes had a system that when the person became an adult, they could learn a trade and make some money and buy the freedom. Therefore, in the 1700s, all of a sudden now, this free-colored society, it grew. And the Danish authorities didn't want people of African descent in certain neighborhoods, like in King's Quarter, so that is when they founded Savan. Savan is the hometown of the free-colored in the 1700s. And it is from Savan that these skilled master builders of Charlotte Amaya came from. The free colored people that had learned a trade. So all of these magnificent buildings that are still standing on Charlotte Amaya were built by the free colored, and many of the families from Savannah are from the free colored. My family, Schultebrand, we go back here to 1700s. We're two neighborhoods. In the back of the Lieutenant Governor's office, that was the Schultebrands in the 1700s. But my great-great-great-grandfather from Europe, in the time of slavery, he decided that there was a woman from Africa that he wanted to marry. In Danish times, they did not allow white to marry African. And my great-great-great-great-grandfather, Johannes van Scheltenbrand, decided he was not going to live with this African woman in sin and have children with her. He was going to marry her. So my great-great-great-grandfather took the Danish government to court and won the case and married this lady from Africa, Deborah. And that is how come the Schultebrands, we are African European. But I wanted to give tribute to Savannah, and that is how come we have these wonderful buildings, because the master builders that are still standing were Sabaneros, the free colored. Thank you.
Before you go, Nadine, I would like to ask a question. Come a minute, please. The house the house that Elder Shelter brought in, was that handed down to your family?
Well, actually, there are actually two Elder Schultebrands.
I'm talking about the one with the mental health.
The one where?
Mental health, Elder Shelterbrand. The one that worked.
Okay, that's on Elder, my uncle Louis Schultebrand, right, that was assistant to Governor Pyronsky. Right. Yeah. So what is it you're asking about? The mental health facility.
No. I'm asking you if she inherited the house. It was a traditional house that was bypassed down to her. You know she's Louis Shelterbrand's sister, right? Eldra.
Okay, hold on a minute. Uncle Louis' wife was Eldra Monsanto Schultebrand. Right. And my family, in the almost 75 years ago, they purchased the home at the top of the 99 steps, the Schultebrand home.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, okay, but my uncle and aunt bought that. Right. You see, that was, in Danish times, the Lutheran church, the pastor, owned my family's home. And then later on, the Schultebrands bought it.
The reason why I asked, you were talking about black and white. And mostly white people live up in that area.
King's Quarter.
Right.
Was segregated.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And when the sun was going down, anybody of African descent, you had to leave King's Quarter. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's lots of history to be told of this town. I want to go to Dr. Molinar, and then we have a couple people in here that have one last thing they want to say before we go to the question and the game, the giveaway game, prizes and all.
Thank you, Nadine. Mm-hmm. I just want to piggyback on what Gail brought up about Savannah. And when Yvette asked me to join the panel here, I realized that my knowledge of Savannah was very sparse, but I realized that I had a mother who did a lot of research into it because of her participation in the Department of Education. And I came across a monograph that mother prepared for participation in the Smithsonian Institute Folklife Festival back in 1990. And it's a summary of what she had actually written, because she was limited to a page and a half, actually. And when you read it, you'll see that she touches on things, but they really require expanding on. It can be found online in the Smithsonian Institute website. But I've made some copies, and I'd like, Sean, if you'd pass these out for me, please. Don't give them to anybody from Upstreet, because they can get them. I only made 25 copies, but it does give a good description of what the history of Savannah was like. and what they mentioning the laborers that came out of Savon, the people that actually made Charlotte-Amalie what it is.
And it's also in this book called Savaneros, this pamphlet that was available from Historic Preservation Commission, done by, I think, compiled by Marion Jackson, etc. So it's also in this book as well. Okay. Yes,
Just a food for
Lily?
thought in reference of different neighborhoods. Since we were invited to this, I said, let me dig some more about Lampard Garden Street. And I want to see if you all remember where the first telephone company was.
I want to say the first telephone company was IT&T down the street by closer to the Market Square.
Nope. It was in Crystal Garda, right there across Commandant Garda School, and then you have that concrete building right behind Dutch Church. Right there, you plug it in. My sister did part-time work. So that is there. And after that company, not Vitelco, but after that telephone company, Board of Election went in there. And after that, they went across the street to Board of Election. But that's where they were. And Board of Education was also next to Melchior's office, Melchior Residence. But the first plug-in phones was in Crystal Garden. Well, you challenged me afterwards. Okay.
We
It's
have
not the
another
graveyard.
session that's coming up that will be a challenge between, this is not just tales and stories of, it will be a challenge between, then we have some activity coming up next week as well. Going around is also some postcards from the co-workers. I had the opportunity to go to London. The guys from the postal system for the Mioso Museum for the Royal Mail Packet Company issued these postcards, and they're being given out as we speak. Sean, you had a question.
Yes. So good afternoon, everyone. This is a wonderful program. I had a question for the Upstreet members. My mother's father's family, the Hassel and husbands, are from Upstreet. So I wondered if anybody knew Pops Hassel. Their house is on Bergegata, up by Fredericksburg Gate. Anybody knew the Hassel family? Okay. No.
When you say Bergegata, this entire street here is Bergegata.
Correct. But their house was sitting on Fredericksburg Gate, which is right below.
Oh, Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
Okay. Probably Delsa, you know the family.
Where they live, Sean?
Go right across from George's building, Dudley's.
Oh, they lived up where before that building was there. The Kekatups lived to the corner, and there were three little houses. One was their laundress, one was their cook.
That's not where he's talking. Across the street where Baptists them live.
Where Baptists them live? Will Baptists and them?
Oh, they were to the end of the street.
Before Mr. Laurent.
Okay, I don't, Sean, I really don't remember them. Sorry, but I don't.
All right, we need some redemption here.
Miss Maduro, I really need to redeem myself. One of the best parties before we reached to Miss Anesta was the Maduro party right by the park.
So she has redeemed herself now. And so now we're getting ready to go to the game show segment of our agenda. So I asked a question early on. Somebody crying. And you used to have to run out to the door to see, who get in trouble? But, okay. So the one question I asked at the beginning, so you've had time to prepare for this now. Where is, and a lot of you know me, yes? Most people know me in diapers. Where is, can I have a prize so we could give it to the person? And Yvette doesn't even know this answer, I don't think, so she didn't know I was going to ask the question. So the question is, where is my ancestral navel string buried? We have what? You have to raise your hand.
Denton Street.
Denton Street.
Langpad. I will say your father from Langpad, your mother from Denton, Kana.
What neighborhood?
Langpad.
Langpad?
Garden Street.
Garden Street? You have no idea? Anybody in the audience? Because I ain't hearing the answer yet. I have cousins in here. Where my ancestral navel string buried? Everybody understands the question, yes? Okay. Say it again. I say on this island, so yeah, Puerto Rico could be Puerto Rico, but yes. Where in the neighborhood where my ancestral navel string is buried? Denton, Kana, down that street. Okay. Savan. She's my first cousin. She coming up with Savan. My ancestral. Since nobody got the answer, I think this coming to me. Yes? Commandant Garda 10 OV. Yeah, it's over Van Den. Okay. Yeah, it's Garden Street. Yes. Hold on. I said my ancestral navel string. Okay, stop. Somebody has an answer over here? Wrong the field. Okay, I'm going to get this and I'm going to tell you what my ancestral... My ancestral navel string is buried.
Wait,
I
want to know one question. Which ancestor are you talking about?
I'm talking about all of them.
Wait.
Okay, wait. Stop. Josie Gomez, my maternal grandfather. Machena is from Wrong the Field. No. Beep. His father.
No, wait. Cool out. Garden Street. Langpad side.
Yes, my father is from Garden Street.
Yeah, her father used to come down and meet us there by car to hang out. His father was from Wrong the Field.
Yes, watch your hand. You're going to hit Miss Tintin.
Sorry. No, wait.
Jeannie from Denton Street.
Buried in the ground. Your grandfather and Machena side from Wrong the Field. So where your ancestors come from?
Okay, so the answer to the question is my... So here's the answer. I am from, my ancestral navel string is buried in little pieces all over this territory, right? But wait. The Machenas ancestrally enslaved Africans in Savannah. Machena.
And his father.
From up street.
Thank you.
And my father from Garden Street. My grandmother down street. My grandmother down street. My great grandfather down street and my grandfather down street. We have Upstreet people because my grandmother married an Upstreet person. So Upstreet as well. I grew up in Garden Street, 10 OV, and I grew up in, I said, but my ancestral, I could go out. In other words, every neighborhood is my neighborhood. Thank you for the prize. Okay. All right? Okay, next question. I asked someone in advance. You should have been listening to when I say, oh. Okay, all right. Now, I also presented to you 3 books about the neighborhoods. I'm not going to ask the panelists because they know those books. Can anyone name the authors or name the books that I presented? I presented 3 books. So, okay, Felipe and this lady right here. Okay, wait, hold on.
We from Upstreet, from Mrs. Molnar, 7 Arrows from the Historic Preservation Commission, and Eric Dawson, Downstreet.
Thank you. I got it.
Fantastic. We come.
Nadine.
Yes.
When he talked about Eric Dawson and his book, the man who helped Eric Dawson write the book is right here sitting down. Edwin Davis. And I could tell you because I grew up with the 2 of them. And I called Edwin and I said, thank you for helping Eric because
when he got ready to write that book, he called me, and I gave him the background. Yeah.
The next question is, I know there's going to be discussion about this, but the next question is, which one of the 4 neighborhoods, I should say, which one of the 4 neighborhoods is the oldest settled neighborhood? And I'm going to go to the audience because y'all not thinking. I'm going to go to the audience. Here we go. So know that we had East Savan and West Savan, right? And East Savan was right here in this area. And West Savan was the Savan, right? So both of them officially laid out in the same time period.
1764,
65, right. But as you go and you're studying further back, you will see the earliest settlement of the Thomas family in that Savan, in West Savan. Right? So, and you're seeing much earlier, you're seeing free people of color living in that community much earlier on with regard to the earliest settlement of any of the communities. Yes, you had the Danes coming in and so forth at Fort Christian, but as a neighborhood of these neighborhoods, you see that settlement happening in a more dense way, right? Okay, let's see. Our panelists spoke eloquently on their first experiences. I'm trying to see a question I will ask Mabel or any other panelists except for Lily. Lily spoke about her earliest experience, and it's a hallmark of who we are as a people in these islands. She spoke of her earliest experience. Does anybody remember what that early experience was? She spoke about her grandparents' shop, but she spoke about something that is Lily.
Oh, Lily.
Yeah, Lily spoke about something that was her earliest experience, and that is a hallmark of the Virgin Islands. You have to raise your hand, please. I come into the back and then I come into the front.
Union and Angela, 6 o'clock.
But the Moravian Church building.
Yeah, she was speaking about, good afternoon, everybody. She was speaking about her this experience with people having manners. I have to say good morning, good afternoon. Talking about us, the village, community nature of the Virgin Islands. She had to, go around the place, bring food places, different places, things of that nature.
So that was an important note that, yes, he gets a prize. So that was an important hallmark of who we were or who we are, and I'm going to continue with the R, as a people, right? I have heard endless stories about having to go and take food to so-and-so, to their house, and to share food. And that food is an important part of who we are and how we come together and how we share, right? And so she talked about it. I've spoken with lots of people about that sharing of food, taking the plate to Miss So-and-so because she's infirmed, or she can't get out, or she have a lot of children and so she needs the extra food and stuff like that. And it was not that you would say who it was you were taking it to. You just know you had to go to this house and go to that house, and you weren't told why. You just had to bring food to those houses.
Nadine,
right?
could I give you a joke about food?
It depends.
My Pepe and my aunt were married, but he had children with another woman. Older children. And the mother of those children used to make sure she sent her grandchildren with food for my grandfather and his wife, my godfather and his wife, every Sunday. And my aunt used to say, oh, tell us I said so much thanks. I look forward to it the next Sunday coming. You wouldn't find that today. But that was what you call caring and sharing.
I think an important component of this community is the amount of teachers we had rising early on, right? So, with the raising of a hand, could you name a teacher during that time period? Raise your hand. Yes, Myron. One teacher. One teacher. Yes, one teacher. Apostle.
Right across the street where the yellow two-story attorney building was, that was Miss Emmy Williams.
Miss Williams.
Miss Williams. She taught at Jarvis, Old Lincoln School, and I think Jefferson.
All right. Miss Williams. Anybody else? Hold on. What did Miss Douglas teach and where did she live? Sorry, I tried. Hold on a second. I'm coming. Okay, raise your hand, please. Who said Miss Douglas? Raise your hand. Teachers of this community. What did Miss Douglas teach?
All subjects at Jarvis.
Yes. Elementary. Okay. Any other teachers?
Yeah, me.
What?
I remember Miss Teresita Nunez. I think she came out of Garden Street. Absolutely. And Mrs. Delphine Smith. Dozzy.
Okay. Miss Teresita Nunez.
I am going to call somebody from around the...
She was a principal.
Right there.
Yeah, that's Frankie.
Yes. Okay, I'm coming to you. Hold on one second. Go ahead.
What was the name she gave?
I was going to
Delphine
name...
Smith?
I was going to name a lady from around the field, Miss Ruth Thomas.
Miss Ruth Thomas. Oh, can I have some more prizes, please? And Dilsa had one.
I wanted to mention Miss Heiliger that lived right across from Criterion. I don't remember her first name now, but Mr. Heiliger was a painter that used to go to paint every morning with his linen suit and his Panama hat.
What was Miss Heiliger? What did she teach?
She taught at Lincoln School. She taught 3rd grade because I know I got into trouble one time and She had to bring my mother and me to her house, and she told my mother that she taught her in 3rd grade, and she should have taught me some manners.
Miss Hyla got Dilsa in trouble. We coming to Miss Lola about a teacher. Can I have some more, please?
Okay, Gladys Gabriel. She was a kindergarten teacher.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right down the corner from us, Mr. Amedio Francis, and right across here, Miss Eldra Douglas.
Okay, we mentioned Miss.
Okay, my 1st grade teacher, Miss Aileen Bonelli, which is Frank Blackman's sister. Same neighborhood. Oh boy.
Oh, by the way, Vivica.
Okay, I'm coming this way. Hold on. These are important. We want to document our teachers.
Miss Almeida Benjamin.
Miss Ken.
Oh, wait, we have several Mrs. Kens. Okay, Miss Kens, tell me which one.
At Niski Demonstration School, we had a teacher, or actually we had a principal called Olamola, and I knew her first name, but our first grade teacher we loved.
So that would be Renee Ken, and she lived in Savannah. I will say that one of my teachers was a Miss Ken too, but she was Alan Ken, and she taught art at Lutheran School.
Jose Antonio Jarvis, teacher at Lincoln School, later would become principal.
Awesome.
Nobody said Bianca Andre?
Not yet.
What I say?
Bianca Andre. We coming all the way back here. You could imagine that this was a community of educators. See how many we going? Let's go.
And Miss
Gladys A. Abraham, Corinthian School.
Miss Abraham, yes. She went to school with my grandmother, Miss Abraham, for sure. Mr. Stoliard, you
Miss
can name
Gladys
one more.
Abraham was one of my teachers in Washington School. But the teacher I want to talk about, Miss Petros. She always traveled with Miss Andre. The two of them walked up from Washington School to Dutch Reform, and then Miss Andre went to Long Park. Another teacher was Miss Carlwood.
Okay.
Annie Carlwood.
I against that one. I against that one.
Okay, so I want to also mention. Okay, I come in. We mentioned Miss Allen Ken. We mentioned Renee Ken. We have to add to, as Lola indicated, Miss Eudora Ken. And Gwendolyn Ken.
We have another teacher, Miss Yuna Turnbull.
Miss Yuna Turnbull.
Yeah, she was at Jenny to it, and she became principal. She also was my cousin.
Okay.
Eldra Monsanto Schultebrand, the Charlotte Amalie High School.
Awesome. I'm coming through the aisle.
Miss Mary Francis, who lived on Congan's Garter, that taught at the Charlotte Amalie High School.
I'm going to talk about a type of teacher that Governor Turnbull, he used the terminology library teacher. Miss Beulah Smith Harrigan, a library teacher is what they would call them.
Your grandmother?
My grandmother, and Tiffany grandmother too. Yeah, but library teachers are teachers as well. They would be in a situation where you showed up at the public library, right? And you did all your homework there. Come.
I want to give props to Attorney Judy Gomez. In 1968, Niski Demonstration School, which is Alamala School. I ain't that old, I just got a little age.
Now, I would like to give props to Mr. Elmo Adams.
Woo.
He was a distinguished geometry teacher. When you went high school in them days, you had to go Army Joe, Eudora Ken, and Elmo Adams.
So you had Mr. and Mrs. Rogers, and you had Miss Creaky, and you had, who else? These are teachers that I did not have, but my mommy and my daddy had. Miss Lillian Benjamin. I just want to show.
Can I say something about teachers? It might not sound appropriate, but this is the way I feel, right? Today, teachers do not get paid government-wise, right? When I taught for umpteen years, right? But when the students see me like the other day, this youngster stop. He said, "Hi, teacher," and I look at him, I say, "Teacher?" He said, "Yeah." Then I said, "Then I must be boss your ass." He said, "Yeah, but listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something." He said, "You are rough on us. And today, look at me, I have a federal job. That's how we teachers today get our thank you. Nobody coming in to beat us up like what's happening now. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I make them pay work for what, you know. No, but as long as you didn't tell my mother, because I was in trouble. I had two disposition, one for the street and one for home.
I understand.
And I had this teacher. I come in and Leo go quick. I had this teacher. She used to beat me all the time, right? In 6th grade, she used to beat me, and she had my last name. I was Carl Wood. And I said to her, "You only beating me because my cousin can't leave you."
Oh God.
I got, like they're saying, big up my alma mater, All Saints, Mrs. Louise Brady, a first grade teacher, and then a principal, and Ilsa Jarvis.
Yes, Miss Jarvis from right around here. I just wanted everyone to sort of get a feeling that we still have community and we still have institutional knowledge, right? We want to make sure that everyone understands that and although we've gotten a little away from who we are, that little away could be a little closer again. We really, the We From Upstreet organization, as well as the other organizations that exist for the communities, are really needing your support. You're stepping forward. You're coming in just to add something special, right? We have another discussion next week at the Trust, and that will cover 2 neighborhoods, right? But I want us to rise as a people, to come together and understand that you're here and you feel great, but when you go home and tomorrow and so forth and so on, you forget that We From Upstreet is still trying to push through. So I want you to make a donation, join an organization, buy a cup, get in contact with the other organizations. The Long Path Garden Street Association is active at this point.
Nadine,
yes, hold on one second. I'm not closing. I don't close. I am just a moderator.
All I wanted to say was that we should give credit to Miss Lucinda Millen, who was one of the first female senators.
Yes,
but she had her own private school and she was a teacher.
Absolutely, and it was a
daughter
school.
followed her footsteps and taught science at Charlton Marley High School.
And that was a
I
school
like to give props.
Yes, she was Miss Lucinda Millen had her own school right behind Catholic school
Thank you very
itself.
much.
So on Regerens Garda, and it actually went straight through between Regerens Garda and Princessa Garda. So really a lot of history. But I want us to sort of gather, right? I think that one of the things we miss here is that we don't write enough of our own history, right? And it just means putting bullet points down and sending that into your organization so that you can update and do things that you need to do. That you join an organization or donate to an organization, right? I want to call, oh, there she is, Miss Yvette. I know there's food in the back. Before it gets too dark, I want to encourage everyone to get something to snack on because we do have a little bit of food. Finger food. Well, we have a lot, but I want y'all don't leave here. We commune in. So this is how we commune, right? Using food. We got that, everybody? So, I am. You want everybody to say thank you one more time? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Miss Mabel Maduro, could you pass the mic down, please? Thank you. Thank you.
There we go. Oh, okay. Here you go.
We just want to thank. Okay, sorry.
Go ahead. Oh,
Mabel.
thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a great humanities conversation. That's how I look at it. And I hope it continues. As I said earlier, I commend We From Upstreet and their other organizations to keep the community building going and restore the respect and the love that we had for each other in these small communities, because this is the only way we're going to maintain unity and strength. And with those two, anything is possible.
Thank you. That was nice and short. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
There aren't many activities that bring people together other than funerals and carnival. But occasions like this give us a chance to commune together in an island way, the way we used to be. It's very important that those of us who know can pass it on. I see Sean with his 2 children here, but I encourage everyone to write down or pass on what you know to your children, to your family. Ask questions of them. In the old days, I couldn't tell you very much about my grandfather's grandfather, because in those days they didn't talk too much about their people because of things like enslavement and because of family problems. They would never talk about family. But we have to talk. We have to let people know, our family know what we're about and where we came from. If we don't, we're going to lose it. So this has been wonderful, and I hope to see it continue.
Thank you.
I must say thank you for Upstreet for inviting us here at this panel, because this is a very interesting panel that we have. But the audience is a mixture of all the community within Town District when you were, before you learn to move in the country. But the key factor is, the key word is unity, and we do have it no matter what. We're not going to lose it. So I thank you all for coming, and please, please continue to explore. Right now, with this street naming and everything that we are doing with the Lieutenant Governor's office, I must say it has opened up my eyes so much. And if everybody's neighborhood is doing it, please, you will find more history than you ever think. Because I didn't know I had so much history in all these alleys and Tasha Alley, Desa Alley. And you learn your Danish addresses, and Mr. Krieger is here, so you could ask him a tons of questions, because he always say I'm harassing him, and I will continue to harass him until I finish this project. So please, look for your history, learn not just your family history, but your neighborhood. Know what those Danish names mean and what they stood for and the borderlines. So I thank you all for having us here, and you will be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Tintin.
Well, the only thing I thank you is that you couldn't have it without Dung Street.
Hey!
I'd like to thank all of you who came, and I'd like to say this. Membership in We From Upstreet is open to all. Come and participate in our meetings and have a little, what you call community spirit by being involved. And I thank you all on behalf of We From Upstreet, and it was a very pleasant afternoon. Nadine Macheda, I'm sorry. Your father was such a thing with me that I got to stick with the Ken part. But anyhow, Miss Ken, thank you very much for being an excellent moderator.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to thank the members of We From Upstreet for their hard work, because it takes a lot to put out production like this. I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy Sunday to come, and this is what you're supposed to be doing on a Sunday afternoon, as a community, as a village, as a family. Engagement, and as you could see, the absence of young people in this yard, with the exception of the 2 young people that are here, that Sean brought, his children. That's what we need to do. And if we're not going to engage them, we also have to pass that information on. Collect community memory or collective memory is very important. And what we're doing here, we're trying to document for future generations, because this is what the village is about. This is how you foster community and you make communities healthy by engagement and involvement. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you in December for the lighting at the park.
Okay. I want to take this time to thank, first of all, Myron Jackson. I want to thank the Jackson Peterson clan for allowing us to host this event here in your yard, Peterson Yard. We want to thank you. I want to thank the participants, Tintin, Edwin, Mabel, Lucien, Lillian, Myron, and Alphonse. We had a lot of support throughout the media. We had WVWI Radio 1 who did an awesome job in promoting this event for us. And I want to thank, and that's Gilbert Pujito Heiliger, the management of WVWI Radio 1. My special friend over there, Anantha Pancham, Anantha and her patient husband. He's here. I mean, that's a good dinner when you go home, Anantha. Thank you on behalf of the Source and TV2. I also want to thank the Boots on the Ground, which is my We From Upstreet members who have been here with us and helping us to put on this event to this evening. Well, it's this evening now. I want to thank all of you, all the members of the fundraising committee. I want to also thank the Ledham family, the Gomez Ledham family, and the Sparks Youth Organization for their donation of these wonderful chairs that made you all very comfortable today. My guy, DJ Dean Shabundi Sanders, where you gone? Okay. Shabundi, thank you so very much. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And I want to say once again, we encourage all of you, you do not have to be a resident or born in Upstreet. Even if you don't want to join Upstreet organization, there are 4 organizations outside of here that you need to start to get together and bring up again. Lily Longpot is doing great things. Savan, y'all need to bring it up, as well as Dong Street. You know, this is the last of us here. We have to keep our preservation together. So at this time, I want to call Mr. Isidro. We're going to have a Dong Street prayer. No, I don't come bring it to you, so you don't have to walk all the way over here. And this is Mr. Isidro Wesselhoff from the Dong Street. You from Dong Street organization, right? Say yes.
Years ago, I attended a meeting where they put Buckhold and all of us together with you guys up here. And I have one of those big books, little book with everything. But what I'm saying here is that you spoke very, very nicely with respect to the different organizations. But you know, my name is Isidro Wesselhoff. Some of you know me as Mr. West, because my kids never know me as Isidro Wesselhoff because I indicated on the blackboard, Isidro Wesselhoff is for my friends and my wife. But then I put in parentheses, W-E-S-S, not W-E-S-T. So whenever you see my students, they say, Mr. West, they say, you see Isidro Wesselhoff, who is he? But when they say Mr. West, they know who I am. John Greenaway is one of Mr. Y'all know I used to talk at the Charlotte Amalie High School Hotel Training Program. I don't like to put myself because it's not about me. It's all about the students who made me teach. A matter of fact, I've been to Charlotte Amalie High School for 18 years. I was never absent and only late one time for about 15 minutes. It's because I took my students as a loving group of children and never had a fight in my classroom. And then one of my students, I don't know which one it is, but she went to the legislature. I don't know if my boy over there knows about that. And they named the hotel training program after Isidro Westerhoff, and then I was in 1992, something like that. But you see, the reason why I don't say anything, this is not about Mr. Westerhoff. I went to teach in 86. I received Christ as my personal Savior in 87. So it's not about me, it's all about him. If he didn't send those kids to me, I would not have been able so they could all go out, whatever. I have 125 chefs in the States, but they refuse to come back home. You can't give a boy $10 or $15 an hour. They have a degree, and some of them went in 2 different areas. So we all look John Greenaway. What a wonderful. And then not only that, Emmett P. with the camera and all of that. So I just only say that, I'm into the food business.
Mr. Wesselhoff?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you as a class of 62. I need you to say the prayer.
Okay, will you all kindly stand because we're going before the Lord? Oh, Lord have mercy. I got a little poor circulation in my legs. You got to bear with me. Heavenly Father, my Lord, my God, I come before you, Lord, this afternoon to thank you so much for this organization that presents this remarkable discussion. God, you know before we came here what was going to happen. And God, I want to thank you so much. There were so many things that were discussed today and a lot of us didn't have knowledge of. And God, it's only because of you that all these things are possible. And Lord, I will say thank you for getting us here. And when we leave here this afternoon, Father, could you kindly take us home safely. Give us a good sleep tonight, my Lord, my God. And wake me up in the morning. In Jesus' name I pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
We would like to bless the food as well.
Oh, Father God, you know there are people elsewhere even don't have a meal to eat today. Here we are, Father God, we are going to have something to eat. So we ask you, Father God, to bless the food, oh Lord. And may it be appetizing from the people who prepare it. Lord, I ask you in Jesus' name. Amen.